Good afternoon. Welcome everybody to KUMBTV's Eyes Up, Mother Brown. Is this Eyes Up, Mother Brown, Rio? I suppose it is, isn't it? In technically, we're doing a special little stream for you this lunchtime. It is the Europa League playoff draw. Myself and my good friend Rio are going to be taking you through the games. Of course, this is for the playoff draw. This is not a round in which West Ham are involved. We will play one of the winners of this playoff round, and we'll be going through the teams who are involved in that very shortly. We're actually seeing the draw about to commence over in I don't know where is the draw actually, Ria? I'm not sure where it is. Do you know where it is?
I don't know, to be honest. I'm presuming it's going to be in Zurich, but I would not actually 100% confirm that.
Well, we're going to find out soon enough. Anyway, I'll just pop a couple of links up. There we go. There we go. There. I mean, there's a couple of big guns in this one, Rio, isn't it? I'm sure everyone's going to be looking out for.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's some prize ties potentially when we get through to the next stage. Barca are the biggest name, obviously.
Yeah.
You've got the likes of Atalanta, who have kind of lit up the European competition the last few years. They've had really good runs in the Champions League. They play really attacking, good football. Mm-hmm. But just look at some of the calibre of that sides that are now joining this competition. It's exciting now, isn't it? You know, that group stage was all well and good. We've done the business. Let's get into the real action now. This is where it really matters.
Yeah, do you get the feeling this is where it sort of starts to get exciting? You know, it was quite a laboured process, really, wasn't it? The group phase. I mean, it was, a bit of a procession, really, for us. You know, we didn't really struggle at all. But, I think we're going to be tested now, aren't we?
Oh, very much so. I mean, like I said, the calibre of the sides now involved in this competition. It's incredibly exciting. This is what European competition is all about, isn't it? And now it's a knockout phase. It doubles the excitement. It's more like a European competition. Since the rehash of European football 20, 30 years ago, they've taken the fun out of it. They're taking the excitement. They're taking the drama out of it. Yeah. As we saw on Thursday night, that last group game was just procession. It didn't grab your attention, did it? Let's put it mildly. It was pretty awful. The kids got to run out, all well and good. But as a spectacle for the paying spectator, nah. But knockout football is where it really matters. And this is where it gets down to the nitty-gritty. It gets really exciting. There's lots to play for. And the drama on European nights is going to go through the roof. If we get the right draw, it's going to be a really special night over there.
Of course, the one that everyone's been talking about is Barcelona, but there's as we said, some big potential draws in there, isn't there? Dortmund, of course, be a great trip to the Westfalen if we could get there. You mentioned Atalanta, some other big sides in it. Lazio, Napoli, all big ties for West Ham. Who would you like to see us get? Would you like to see us get, a perceived simpler tie? Or would you rather see us get one of the big guns as soon as possible?
I think we're at a stage of this football club now. I know results and forms dipped a little bit. It's been a bit up and down recently. Yeah, but I don't fear anybody. And let's face it, Barca are probably the biggest name left in the competition. Yeah, they're not the Barca of 10 years ago. They're not the Barca of 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. They are absolutely beatable, and we can take our first choice team. We could go to any of these sides. And we can give them a game, and not only give them a game, we can wipe the floor of a couple of them. It's probably a little bit of bravado. I got told off last week by a Liverpool fan that we're getting ahead of ourselves and we're getting a bit too cocky and a bit too flash. But we've all seen that when this team clicks, we can play some exciting football. Yep. We are more than capable of beating any side in the Premier League. And the Premier League is the strongest league in Europe. I don't care what anyone says. Mm-hmm. The way the English clubs have performed in the European competition over the last 2 or 3 years, it's been a resurgent England, a resurgent Premier League. And if we can beat the best in the Premier League, and it doesn't come as much as a surprise, we can beat anyone in Europe.
It's funny you should say that, because, I make you right about the Premier League, but yet West Ham are the only English team left in the draw. Obviously Leicester got knocked out. But, looking through the groups, there's 4 German teams, 4 Spanish teams, 3 Italians, which I guess, we talk about the big 5 leagues. You've got those in France. France have 2. And then, of course, we've only got 1 team. And, the Portugal, Russia, Croatia, they've all got 2 teams in it as well. And the only other countries with one team left in the competition, Greece, Moldova, or Transnistria, Scotland, of course, Rangers are in there, and Turkey. So what's going on? Is that just a consequence of the draw, you think, with 4 teams going into the Champions League and only 2 UEFA League qualifiers? Because I mean, you certainly would have expected Leicester to get through, wouldn't we?
You would have expected Leicester based on Leicester's form over the last 2 or 3 seasons. Yeah. This year, as we've seen in Premier League stages, there's something amiss there at the moment.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's a transition of some of their squad. I don't know if injuries have taken their toll. We've obviously played a lot of football in the last 18 months. So we've been kind of congested. Mm-hmm. That's taken its toll. But you would have expected Leicester to go through. But there's something not right up there at the moment.
Yeah, they were close, weren't they? I mean, there was
very close.
If they'd have scored that penalty at the end of that last tie, I think they would have been through. But it looks like we
tough group as well. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, we were fairly lucky in that sense, weren't we? When you look back and the quality of the teams in there, we could have had a much tougher draw. But it does look like the draw is about to begin to take place. So let's run through very quickly the 16 teams in this draw. Remember, West Ham United are not involved in this draw. We will play one of the 8 winners of the following 8 ties that are about to be selected. So the 8 teams in the draw who qualified by virtue of coming second in their UEL groups, the Europa League groups, are Real Betis, Braga, Portugal, Dynamo Zagreb, of course, who finished runners-up to West Ham, beat us at the London Olympic Stadium last Thursday, Lazio and Napoli from Italy, Olympiacos from Greece, Rangers from Scotland, and Real Sociedad from Spain. And the 8 ex-UCL Champions League teams that finished third in their respective groups and have been demoted, as it were, to the Europa League: Atalanta of Italy, Barcelona, of course, Spain, Seville of Spain, perennial winners of this competition for a few years in the last decade. Borussia Dortmund, Germany, Leipzig of Germany, Porto of Portugal, Sheriff, who are, as I said before, Moldova / Transnistria, not quite sure what that comes under at the moment, and then Zenit St. Petersburg of Russia. So all in all, in this draw, you have 4 Spanish teams, 3 Italians, 2 Germans, 2 Portuguese, a Croatian, 1 Greek, 1 Moldovan, 1 Russian, and 1 Scotland. What do we rate Rangers' chances of getting through this round at Rio?
I actually think they're probably the second worst team left in the competition. Scottish football,
just out of interest.
I think Sheriff probably on paper the weakest, but we saw in the Champions League that they beat Real Madrid.
Yes, we did. That was a surprise, that one, wasn't it?
They was in prize position after 3 games, but Scottish football's weak, isn't it? If we did get Rangers though, what a game that would be! Just the atmosphere, because Scottish football, as we know, isn't at its greatest, but the passion of the fans will shine through. It would be an occasion and a half.
Yeah, it would be awesome, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
an all British tie. We haven't had one of those for quite a while. We of course we had the Champions League job. We're not going to touch much on that, but there's a couple of big ties drawn out there. I think who did the English sides get? I think Manchester United drew Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah.
Who got Lille? Was it Liverpool or Man City? Can't remember.
I think City got Villarreal. Chelsea got Lille,
and Liverpool got Salzburg, didn't they?
Yeah.
Possibly the weakest team left in it. So, yeah, but of course, as we said, only 1 English team left in this draw in the final 24 teams that are remaining. A draw really dominated by the big 3 leagues: Germany, Spain, and Italy. France with only 2, and us with only 1. Now we're just having a look at the stream here. There's some interest. There's a load of pots on the table. Not quite sure that each pot appears to have a name on it of one of the 8 teams. Now let's have a look. Rangers, Sociedad, Napoli. So these are all teams that finished second, right, Rio, in the Europa League, and they all seem to have a pot. Now, of course, we should point out that you cannot draw a team from the same nation in this round. So just going through the list quickly, that means Betis can't be drawn against Barcelona or Seville. Braga can't be drawn against Porto. Neither Lazio or Napoli can face Atalanta, and of course Real Sociedad as well can't face Barcelona or Seville. Big welcome to our man Chris Wilkerson. How you doing, Chris? Good to see you. You just been for a ride?
This is actually a Wollongong Wolves kit, Australian, non-league in there by their terms team. My local when I was living in Australia, Aboriginal
lovely.
artwork.
How are they doing this season, or is it off season at the moment in Oz?
I think it may have just. I can't say I follow it when I'm a long way away and I don't have to. I generally keep away from the Australian football. It doesn't really count when you're not there.
No, that's true. Chris, of course, for those who are unaware, is our match reporter on KUMB. Pens match reports on every week for us, and of course. The presenter of our new podcast, which is absolutely fantastic. And you haven't seen it yet, tune into that. All the links are all over KUMB in the podcast section. You can watch it here on our YouTube channel, or there's various audio links if you prefer it in a podcast. How's that going, Chris, with Jack and Callum? Do you want to give the pod a quick intro while we're waiting for the jaws to begin?
Definitely. The two lads are great. I love them to bits. They're smart, kind of sharp minds on either tactics stuff. Jack is really good. His content on Twitter and stuff is really good. It's great on the podcast. He kind of breaks things down. He's really good at pinpointing what's worked in games, what's been changed, especially that Chelsea game when Moyes was changing things on the fly so much. He was really good at keeping a track of that. And Callum's really good with data and numbers. He's more analytical in transfers and stuff like that. He's done a great kind of segment on one of them with forwards we should look at who were similar to Antonio, and then another with kind of defenders who would slot in where Ogbono's missing. Kind of looking at attributes we have in a team as well and stuff like that. It's really, I learn a lot talking to them. I'm very much just there as a conduit to get the two men to talk, and I stand there doing kind of cheesy dad jokes. Basically, it's my real. It's kind of analytical minds, and I'm quite good at really bad puns.
But it works. It works well anyway. That's the main thing. Rio, are you a fan of the new podcast? Have you had the opportunity to tune into it yet?
I haven't missed an episode. I've endorsed it a couple of times during our Eyes Up Mother brand links as well. Cool. Big fan indeed. So
I'm going to try and remember the links now. Twitter links. You are the _Wilkerson. Is that correct?
That's the one. Yeah, I think Callum is WHU_analytics. And Jack, I think, is just at Jack Elderton.
Yeah, I think he needs a new moniker. It's a bit underrated, that one.
Yeah, he's got to do something that stands out more. I'll tell him off. Something witty and pithy. You know, we need pithy stuff on the internet.
We do. Well, talking of pithy stuff, we're about to. It looks like the draw's about to begin. I just asked Rio the question, Chris. Let me ask you the same. Is there anyone that you'd really like to avoid? You know, as we said, West Ham aren't involved in this particular draw, but is there any one of these 8 winners or 16 teams you'd really like to avoid, or perhaps get in that first knockout phase?
It's that weird area where you kind of, there's teams you're looking at and think, I really, really don't want to play them, but also at the same time, it would be quite fun to play them. I mean, I think I want Barcelona because I feel like they have the grandeur stature, but they're also probably possibly beatable at the moment. Whereas Dortmund
Rio said the same, didn't you, Rio? You feel that they're there for the taking this year, which, I mean, you know, if you roll the clock back, gentlemen, sort of, even 24 months, let alone, 10 years, you would have been laughed at if you'd have suggested the notion of West Ham beating Barcelona. But anyway, look, the draw's taking place. We're round on. I think Seville, is that Seville have just been pulled out of the hat? I think it is. Have you guys got the stream up as well?
No. I'm relying on BBC, which
all right. Well, I can tell you Seville have been drawn. Of course, Seville the hosts this year. So they are out first. So I'm presuming they're drawing the Champions League team and then the team that finished second in the Europa League group, or it could be all the. I don't know the way they do these things. Any ideas? They could be drawing all the 8 Champions League teams first. I guess we'll find out in just a moment because he's the second one. Now, who's this? Right, this is okay. Dynamo Zagreb. So it looks like it is a Champions League team and then. Europa League qualified. Dynamo Zagreb, Rio, the team that beat us on Thursday, away to Seville. That's going to be a tough call.
Tough ask for Zagreb there. If they struggle to beat our under 23s, they're going to struggle against Seville, who've got such a good calibre in this competition.
Yeah.
Chris, any thoughts on that one?
I mean, Seville, one of those teams. They do well in this. I mean, that was Emery's team back then, but I wouldn't want to be facing them. I think they're proper unit.
Okay, I guess we all fancy Seville to go through on that one. Now, I think it's a unanimous 3 out of 3, isn't it? We've just seen Atalanta drawn out. Atalanta, of course, another team that fell out of the Champions League earlier this week. And who are they going to be pitted against? They can't, of course, face Lazio and Napoli. So that leaves 5 teams as far as I can make it: Braga, Betis, Olympiacos, Rangers or Sociedad. They face Olympiacos. There we go. Greek side out. What do we reckon on that one, Chris? Atalanta, Olympiacos?
I think Atalanta I mean, they're a fascinatingly exciting team to watch, but also I think they're a really, really good team as well. So I'm hoping some of the big boys get drawn together really, and so far you're looking at two Champions League winners winning their ties quite comfortably.
Yeah, did you go along with that, Rio?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Atlanta, I said before, like they've got such a good pedigree in Italian football. They play attacking football, but they leave themselves open at the back quite a lot. So I think they'll coast through this particular tie, but they're another team to be getting at.
Okay, good stuff. Leipzig are next out of the of course, the Champions League teams playing the home leg first. So giving the benefit of the doubt to the team to finish second in the Europa League. Olympiacos, of course, going to Atalanta. As we said, Seville hosting Dynamo Zagreb. We're just about to find out who Leipzig are going to be hosting in these ties, which are going to be played next February, I think, aren't they? Mid and late February. Okay, this is interesting. Leipzig have drawn Real Sociedad. That one perhaps not quite so easy to call, gentlemen. Chris, what do you?
Yeah, Sociedad had a really good year this year, aren't they? Sociedad in Spain. So that is, I mean, they definitely would have been one you'd want. I mean, them and Napoli must be two you'd be really looking to avoid as a Champions League side. I mean, Leipzig are a very good team. They'll back themselves, but that is a tough draw. Okay.
Barcelona have just been drawn out, so let's see who they get. Of course, they can't face Betis. Betis haven't come out yet. If they Sociedad have, so who's going to get the lucky draw at the new camp? Let's see. Could it be Braga? Could it be Rangers? Perhaps could be Rangers yet. They haven't come out, have they? Or one of the Italians, Lazio, Napoli. Who is it? The ball's about to be cracked open. We're on tenterhooks here. Who are Barcelona going to be facing? So Barcelona will be facing Napoli. Oh, now there's an enticing tie, Rio.
That is going to be an absolute cracker. It also takes out one of the big guns for when we enter the draw, which is a good thing. But yeah, as a tie, that's probably the pick of one so far, and it's going to be an absolute belter.
Fancy that one, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have thought that was possibly the worst team they could have got of that side of the draw. Napoli are a very good team. I mean, I'd be surprised if Barcelona make it through that one. Yeah, which is it's a shame. But yeah, like you said, it's one of those big guns out. You'd expect. Well,
good for West Ham, I guess, potentially. Zenit are out the hat. The one of two Russian teams. The other one, of course, Spartak Moscow are already through to the last 16 by virtue of winning their group. We're just about to find out who Zenit are playing. This is the fifth tie of the 8 we're going to see today. Zenit St. Petersburg, third in the Champions League group, will face Real Betis. That's an interesting one. Betis, that's Pellegrini's side, isn't it, Chris?
Pellegrini's boys, and I still support. I still keep an eye out for Pellegrini. One of those who doesn't dislike him from his time with us. So I always hope they do well. I think they've got I mean, you'd have targeted Zenit as one of the ones you'd want from that selection, so they'll probably be pretty happy. Yeah,
I guess so. Rio, thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting draw. Betis under Pellegrini have been playing some really nice football. He's taken on his kind of trademark style, attacking verve. But he's also got a little bit of defensive frailty there. But it's going to be an interesting tie. Very interesting indeed.
Okay. Next up out the hat, the 6th of the 8 draws is Borussia Dortmund. We're at home, of course, previous champions. I think they're Champions League winners, weren't they, 3 years ago? I guess this could be curtains for Rangers. They've been drawn away to Borussia Dortmund. Rio, do we give the Glaswegians much hope over there?
No. Next.
I mean, Dortmund are going to want to have that tied up before they go to Ibrox. You wouldn't want to need something, I guess, going to Scotland. But yeah, I can't see Van Bronckhorst getting them through that one. The
mighty Sheriff.
Sheriffs are in town.
Conquerors of Real Madrid at the Bernabeu earlier this season are out next. Who will they be facing? Now let's have a quick look. Who haven't we had yet? We had Atalanta, Porto, and who else hasn't come out yet?
Braga.
Sorry, not Porto. Braga and is it Lazio? Braga and Lazio, isn't it? Braga. They've drawn Braga. So Difficult time for the Portuguese. They've got to go to a chilly country, Chris.
I mean, that's a hard one to call because I don't think any of us really know how good Sheriff are.
No.
So I wouldn't go with any confidence knowing I could call it either way.
Rio, would you fancy that one if you're in the Portuguese camp?
I think Chris has nailed it. We don't really know much about them. We all know that they went to Madrid and had a massive result. I'm just thinking West Ham point of view. That's the winners. That tie is the winners you want to face in the next round. If you want to get through. Yeah,
almost certainly, yeah. Well, that of course means the last two teams in the hat are Porto and Lazio. So that's the final tie. I mean, that's going to be both teams, Rio, with really good European pedigree in the past, and of course Felipe Anderson back in at Lazio now. Tough one to call that one.
Very tough, and also it's probably the second best tie in the round. Very exciting. Two really good teams. It's the second most interesting, and again, not a team you want to play in the next round. Winner that tie.
Definitely. Chris, did you fancy in that one?
Yeah, I mean, I want Lazio to go through, but I mean, just for, I mean, if you're going to play a team, I quite like to play Lazio. It might be a bit spicy, might be a bit worrying, but again, they're not having a bad season, but it's no easy ones really. Once you get past the kind of two obvious picks.
Chris, I've just got to point out that there's a post called Juzzy, who's on our live chat, and he says, whoever that guy is down the bottom, whoever that guy is, as if he doesn't know, I love the Wollongong Wolves jersey. I'm from Wollongong.
Hey, I lived there for 2 years before the pandemic. I will be going back. I do miss it. Lovely place. It's 5 minutes from the beach when I was there. It's quite different to the villages of Cambridgeshire. I mean, yeah, it's not great outside at the moment. I'd be having summer if I was where I meant to be.
Well, there you go. What are the chances of that? A fellow former or a current Wollongong. Is it Wollongong? Not Wollongong, is it?
Wollongong.
Woolen, as in like jumpers.
Woolen. Yeah. Most people go Woll, but yeah, it's Wollongong. I say that. I won't. I'll try. I'm not going to try my Aussie accent because it's not good when I'm there and I've been away for 2 years.
Okay, the draw has been made for the playoff round of the Europa League, and of course, let me just remind you again: West Ham are not involved in this draw. We will play the winners of one of these 8 ties. So let's just have a bit of a recap, and we'll go through the team and just see, who we fancy to progress out of those 8 ties. Now, Seville, the Dynamo Zagreb was the first one. I think we all went for a Seville win in that one. Atalanta versus Olympiacos. Again, we all went for the Champions League team, Atalanta. Leipzig and Sociedad. Rio, who do you fancy out of that?
On the side of Sociedad, because as Chris said, they've had a really good season, been playing really, really well. We've had a little bit of a dip recently, but no, there's something special happening now.
Okay. One for the away team, the Europa League team. First one so far. Chris, what do you reckon?
That's hard to call. It is hard to call. It's hard to keep. There's some of these tougher ones. It's really going to be a case of kind of, I think, especially the home ties early on, you'd think the Champions League teams, they're going to have they just have that grandeur, that bit of confidence of being the better teams. If they get that early result, momentum will probably, you'd expect, take them through. I think Sociedad have got a cracking chance. They're having a really good year and they're probably as confident as they'll ever be, having had the way they're playing in Spain.
Okay, so going to which side of the fence are you falling on this one?
I'll go if we're talking Sociedad, especially because I like saying it. I think I'll use that as enough reason as any, really.
Okay, all right. I'll go for Leipzig then, just to balance it up a little bit. But that's the first Europa League team, or in terms of where they've been so far this season, that we've gone for as a group. Barcelona, Napoli. What a beauty, Chris. What do we reckon on this one? Who's going to go through out of those two European giants?
I think I'd be shocked if Barcelona make it through that one. I think they are a team very much in transition. I think they had a goal scorers yesterday. I think one of them was born 2001. One of them was born 2002. It's quite disgusting to think of, isn't it?
It's frightening.
It's frightening. And it's a good sign for them that they may well be able to come again, if not this year, next year, but in time. But Napoli are a very good team, and they have been for a few years now. They've come properly to the fore of Italian football lately. I'll be looking to win a league. They've been so close a few times, and I think they will fancy that.
Okay, Napoli for Chris. Napoli currently 4th in Serie A, only 4 points behind Inter. It's really tight up there. 4 teams within 4 points of each other at the top of Serie A at the moment. Rio, do you fancy them to overturn Barcelona, or do you think Barcelona might be about to make a comeback in a challenge for the Europa League?
I think, as Chris said, it's probably 2 or 3 years too early for Barca. The only thing is, when I know finances are a bit tight there as well, whether they're strengthening the transfer window, but I still fancy Napoli. They need too much rebuilding work, Barca, in too many areas.
Okay. I find it difficult to disagree, gentlemen. So that's a clean sweep for Napoli. So far, that's 2 Champions League teams and 2 Europa League teams that we're going for. Next one, this is another difficult one to call, Rio. Zenit St. Petersburg against Real Betis.
See, I'm going to verge towards Betis, to be honest. 2 reasons. Zenit have got decent pedigree in this competition as well, but they haven't got that Frank Spencer element to them, are they? You can't say Zenit. You can say Betis and get away with it.
I wonder where you were going with that for a minute, but it works now. I get you.
But yeah, just for the Frank Spencer side of things, I'm going Betis. No, but also I think that they've been playing some decent football. I'd like to see Pellegrini come back to West Ham as well. As an potential away trip for our fans, Russia in general in these days and age, well, not just cold. Politically, I don't think it's the best move.
Politically and
Betis come
meteorologically. Yeah, not an ideal one. So Betis for Rio. Chris, Betis currently 3rd in La Liga. Just didn't realise Barcelona were as low as 8th. They're having a dreadful season, aren't they? Betis, they're some way behind Real Madrid and Seville, who are 1st and 2nd, but they're holding their own currently. The other thing is, of course, Zenit, do they have any real competition in the Russian league? It's La Liga, one of the top 5 leagues, of course. They're all difficult games, as they say in the Premier League.
I would say the Spaniards take the Europa seriously, which is one of the things that will kind of, if you're looking at these draws, they don't look at this as a side competition. Then it's not like in the Premier League where we seem to be the only one who's ever taken it seriously over the last few years. And maybe that by that time there'll be that distance at the top will look insurmountable, and they'll think, well, that's the best chance of silverware, and that's also a really, really good route to Champions League football as well. I think actually having the second leg at home suits them as well, so I'd fancy them as long as they don't do anything silly going out instead of, and Pellegrini's teams, they are capable of doing something silly even when they're on song. So, but yeah, I'd fancy them.
As we know well, to our chagrin. Got to agree again, so it's a clean sweep for Betis. Next up, not sure we really need to talk too much about this one, but Borussia Dortmund, the mighty Borussia Dortmund, home to Russia, Chris.
Yeah. Was that Dortmund?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So my completely went. I heard this say, and then my mind completely lost me. I don't think you can look past them. Really, It's just they're too good. They are very, very good. Erling Haaland, he's not in the Champions League anymore. He's not qualified for the World Cup. He'll want to be making a mark. And Rangers, they're fine, but they're not Dortmund, are they?
No, I think that's fair to say. They are definitely not Dortmund.
Politician's answer, I think.
I think we can talk you going with that one. Rio, Dortmund 2nd in the Bundesliga at the moment, 6 points behind current leaders Bayern, but a quality side. And as Chris has said, if not one of the very best strikers in the world amongst their ranks at the moment.
Yeah, amongst another wealth of quality players, likes of Bellingham. To give Rangers a little bit of hope here, if they can keep it to just a 1-goal deficit in that first leg, we've seen in the past Barca going to Celtic and getting their comeuppance.
Yes.
Passionate crowds can carry teams in knockout football, especially. They can give them that edge. So always not lost, but I'm still expecting the 5-goal deficit after that first leg. So.
It's
the calibre the calibre of Dortmund squad against the calibre of Rangers, it's no contest. But, knockout football's a strange thing, isn't it?
Well, indeed it is, and this is why it's so good, and I guess why we sort of miss it so badly from the old days when it used to start at round 1 and you could get knocked out. Sheriff v Braga is tie number 7. Braga from Portugal, Sheriff from Moldova stroke Transnistria. Not quite sure what they qualify as at the moment, but this is possibly the most interesting one of them all, I think, Rio.
It's certainly the most hardest to call. I still think it's. I still think Sheriff are going to get their comeuppance. I don't think they can continue to kind of ride the crest of their early European Champions League form. Obviously dipped off in that second phase, and it's going to be a tough place to go to. There's no question about that, but I just don't see it happening. I don't see them carrying on. So yeah, unfortunately, and again, from a West Ham point of view, I'd like to see Braga go through, because what a ground, what a potential away trip for a lot of our fans. It'd be fantastic. As we've touched upon in a couple of other programs we've done, Sheriff isn't a nice place to go to. It is complete bandit country, and you don't want to see our lot go out there.
I sense there'll be lots of gloves on show and possibly some leggings, Chris, from the Portuguese when they tackle this one.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a shock for some of them, I'd imagine, going over there. They're not going to know what to expect. I mean, I wonder whether Sheriff getting up and defending their way to wins or good results against the really big teams is quite different to over 2 legs going out and beating someone like Braga, who are better but not that real big draw. And so I'd expect. Also, Braga looks like a gorgeous place to go, so you kind of want that through as an option rather than kind of Moldova, not officially part of Moldova, whatever politically is going on there. But it's easier, just a nice trip to north of Portugal. Sounds a bit more like you'd offer that in March.
Yes, indeed. So you fancy Braga for that one?
I think so. I just think it's a different kettle of fish getting up to just something that isn't such a big deal, I think. Okay. And over the 2 legs, you often see that with these competitions. Some of these teams get their scalps, they do their business, and then when it can't keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. Almost like a Lincoln back in the FA Cup the last few years ago or something like that, which is maybe a bit unfair to compare Sheriff having beaten Real Madrid and Lincoln, but I
don't know. It works. Okay, so that's 2 for. I'm going to go against the grain here. I'm going to go with Sheriff. I've just got a feeling that if they can get a decent result in that first leg, and obviously it's going to be a bit of a shock to the Portuguese. Obviously, they're not all Portuguese players, but so they, it's going to be presumably pretty cold over there in mid-February, which is when these ties are taking place. So I've just got a feeling they might be able to get a lead and possibly hold on to it. Then they're not hugely experienced, but we mentioned that Real Madrid results. They've shown that they can beat teams with a good pedigree. So yeah, I'll go for Sheriff on that one, which takes us on to our final tie. It's another Portuguese team from the Primeira Liga. Braga in 4th. Braga who are going to Sheriff, but the current league leaders, Porto, actually just ahead of Sporting on goal difference at the moment, 38 points from 14 games, some 13 points clear of Braga, who are down in 4th. They host Lazio. And again, this is a really good one. You're looking at those 8 ties. You're looking for one you'd like to watch on TV, and that's going to be relatively competitive. Chris, I think this has got to be up there with anything else in that draw.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Lazio are 9th in Serie A this season, so they're not having their best year, but that's a competitive league this year. And I mean, that's going to be a passionate place to go as well. Whatever restrictions allowing, but I think Porto are probably the better team. But it wouldn't surprise me either way. I'd pick Porto if I'm having a pick, but okay. They're going to need to use their home advantage in the first leg to get themselves something solid, because I wouldn't want to be clinging on to a 0-0 or a 1-1, then going to Lazio and wanting a result. Okay, good stuff. Yeah, it's really tight, isn't it? Looking at the table there in Serie A at the moment, from Fiorentina in 5th down to Bologna in 10th. There's 6 teams there. There's only 6 points between them.
Lazio in the middle of that pack at the moment, along with, they're in, as you said, 9th, Roma 8th, same points, Empoli 7th with a point more, Bologna 10th, point less. But it's all very tight in there. But yeah, who's going to come out on top in this one, Rio?
Yeah, I'm going to side with Porto. Just they've got the more experience in Europe. The Lazio, because they've been so kind of patchy in the last few years. I mean, they have good seasons, then drop off the cliff. I just think Porto's European competition experience will shine through. It's going to be a really interesting game, very entertaining. But yeah, I have to go with Porto on this one.
Okay, good stuff. Well, let's have a quick recap, and we can now exclusively reveal, if our predictions are correct, what the last 16 teams in the Europa League are going to be. And of course, we're going to be right, everyone. Going to be spotting, aren't we? We'll find out very soon. But you guys, interestingly, all went with the same team in those 8 draws, and
easily influenced.
Yeah, well, you're probably correct. The only 2 where we didn't all go to, well, Seville. So let's go through. So Seville, we fancy to beat Dynamo Zagreb. Atalanta to progress against Olympiacos. Leipzig and Sociedad. You guys went for Sociedad. I went for the Germans. So we'll go with Sociedad. So that's 2 Spanish teams and an Italian team so far. Actually, 2 Italian teams now, because we all feel that Napoli are going to usurp Barcelona and make their way through. Real Betis to beat Zenit St. Petersburg. I've actually, I don't know why I've put Rangers down to beat Borussia Dortmund. That's clearly a clerical error. Let's just make that right. Borussia Dortmund to progress against Rangers. Braga of Portugal to go through, and then Porto of Portugal also to go through. So let's just have a quick count. That's 2 Portuguese teams. Seville, Sociedad, Betis. That would be 3 Spanish teams. 1 German and 2 Italians. Yeah, 2 Italian teams. And of course, the winners of those 8 ties that we've just spoken about will face one of these 8 teams in the last 16, which takes place, someone remind me, gentlemen, it's sometime in March. Is it 16th of March, something like that?
I think it's 16, and I think it's the week after the return.
Yeah, round about 16th close. And the 23rd then of March next year. The 8 teams that are awaiting the winners of these 8 ties are Lyon, who won Group A of the Europa League, Monaco, Spartak Moscow, Eintracht Frankfurt, Galatasaray, Crvena Zvezda, my favourite team, Croatians, Leverkusen, and of course the mighty, the massive West Ham United. Right, we now know, gentlemen, which 8 teams are going to be going through from those playoff draws, because of course we're bound to be correct. Who do we want in the last 16? Rio, I'll start with you.
Dear.
So you've got Seville, Atalanta, Sociedad, Napoli, Betis, Borussia Dortmund, Braga, or Porto.
Can I speak from a personal point of view, a footballing point of view, or just pure?
You can speak from whichever point of view you like, my friend. You decide, as they say on the whatever that program was.
If I was able to get a ticket, my dream draw at the moment in the next round would be Sociedad.
Okay.
But obviously, as a football fan, if every football fan wants to experience a new camp, every football fan wants to experience Westfield Stadium, and I think as a support, West Ham going out there and making an absolute noise and a half and getting behind that team and one of those 2 grounds would be an absolute dream, wouldn't it? But yeah, from a purely selfish point of view, I fancy Sociedad. Okay. A, from a footballing point of view, A, because who doesn't fancy a little nice end of a winter trip to Spain? Nice bit of tapas in the sun, warm weather, watching West Ham overcome an entertaining side. Yeah,
should be still around.
It's idyllic, isn't it?
At that time of year. Sounds a lot better than going to Sheriff or Zenit St. Petersburg. Anyway, Chris, Sociedad for Rio. How about yourself?
I mean, I quite like Betis in a way, because I'd quite like to play a Pellegrini team. Then gives you the trip to Spain, very lovely. And there, it's attacking. That'd be a fun game. Again, it's hard to disagree. You couldn't turn down the chance for, the away fans being at Dortmund or being at Barcelona, the new camp especially. I'd kind of don't want Napoli. because I think they're very, very good. Also, I am slightly wary of Italy and the problems that can happen in Italy.
Yes,
I think Braga
would
be a nice one because I think that'd be a lovely place for people to go. Feels winnable, and then you can look at who you get in the next round. I mean, there is that part where you've got to remember we're not just tourists as well. We do want to win this and win the competition, and sometimes you want that easiest or kindest, maybe better than easiest route through. Yeah, I mean,
so Betis for you. You're gonna go
Betis or Braga.
Okay, Betis or Braga. So we're going for a warm country anyway. Either way, we are going for Sociedad. Chris, who do we really want to avoid?
I mean, in footballing terms, Dortmund look the best team in that by a long shot. Actually, I think. I mean, they'll be looking to win this unless things are really tight in Germany, but they generally aren't anymore. And I mean, Atalanta, a really tough team. They will play open attacking football. They will test us, and they are a smart attacking team as well. And Seville are kind of Europa League monsters.
Yes,
but then it'll be at least, for the very least, if you get one of those teams, it'll be worth the two-legged tie, and you'd be excited by it, I suppose. So there's the silver lining in that respect. I mean, we really want to avoid a trip to Russia because you don't want to go. You don't want to see what might happen, and they're not the worst team in the world as well. So it'd feel quite disappointing to go out to a team that maybe you weren't excited to face. Yeah, but still could knock us out.
Yeah, it'd be a bit like being a non-league team in the third round of the FA Cup and drawing a trip to Rochdale, wouldn't it? In a sense, I guess. But
the lack of glamour.
Yeah, Rio, anyone you'd particularly like to avoid?
Yeah, you've got to go along the Russian route, really. Russia, Sheriff. I think what Noam pointed out yesterday in the live broadcast, because you go to the likes of Portugal, Spain, off the pitch aspects, you're going to get decent accommodation. You're not going to get the dark arts administratively thrown into the mix as well. Sheriff, that's going to happen. I dare say the trip to Zenit won't be particularly pleasant for the players and staff as well. So, yeah. And also, Italian sides, they're glamorous, but on the pitch, it's going to be hard work, incredibly cynical. So, yeah. Okay. As long as we're not in Eastern Europe or Italy, I'll be happy.
All right, good stuff. So it looks like we're all hoping for a sunny trip to Spain or Portugal then, come March. And of course, the weather should be lovely, shouldn't it? As I said, mid-70s, early 80s, maybe. We'll be able to take our towels, get on the beach, hopefully. Would be wonderful. But I'm sure we'll end up drawing Zenit or Sheriff now. We've all got our minds on that. One final question, gentlemen, before we wrap up this particular broadcast. Who's going to win the competition? Rio, let me come to you first. If not West Ham, of course, because we're all gonna hope the Hammers do it. But
if not West Ham, it will be either Dortmund or Seville. But as I said before, I don't fear anybody. I think on our day, we can go and turn every single team in that competition over. Dortmund probably for me the favourites, but Seville aren't far behind just because of their calibre and experience.
Okay, excellent, good stuff. Thank you very much for your thoughts this afternoon, Chris. Final question: Rio reckons Dortmund and Seville have got to be hot favourites. It's difficult to argue with that. Who do you see coming out on top next? What is it? May, I think it is, isn't it? End of May.
Yeah, I mean, Dortmund are the hard. I mean, they're going to be, I assume, heavy favourites. Really, I think Atalanta would be a good shout. I think they'll take this really seriously as well. I don't think this will be a kind of a token competition to them, where some of them will have that little bit of arrogance. I mean, you'd already seen headlines with Barcelona looking to forfeit their place, and as if that was possible or be even something you would say aloud. But that is the kind of arrogance you get from some of these teams. As I don't think Atalanta will be like that. I think Atalanta will be looking that's a really big trophy for them to win and kind of put a real stamp on their kind of place in Europe that they've been. Yeah, having lately, they've had much more European success and they've made a real name for themselves lately. And that would be a good way for Gasperini, who's been a really good coach as well, to kind of add some legacy as well. So those would be my two picks, other than us. It's difficult to argue with any of those, of course, but no one's really mentioned Porto yet. Could be a dark horse for me in the competition. So I was surprised to see them go out of the
the Champions League, but good a side with good pedigree and always do perennially well in the Premier League. But I quite fancy them to do well, at least last four, I think. But so there you go. So the ties, let's just run through them very quickly once again before we wrap up. Seville versus Dynamo Zagreb, Atalanta versus Olympiacos, Leipzig versus Real Sociedad, Barcelona versus Napoli, Zenit St. Petersburg versus Real Betis, Borussia Dortmund versus Rangers, Sheriff versus Braga, and Porto versus Lazio. The 8 winners of those ties will face the 8 Europa League group winners, including the mighty, massive West Ham United sometime in March. That's it. Thank you very much for joining us on this stream. My thanks to my co-hosts, Rio and Chris. Thanks for joining us, lads. At very, very short notice. I think we had about 15 minutes notice, didn't we, today? Sort of pulled that one out the bag.
And a better job than UEFA have. They're having to redo the Champions League draw because they cocked it up. So, all the organisation in the world doesn't work sometimes.
Yes, as we saw yesterday with Formula One as well. Chris, when's the next podcast out?
I think we're going for after Arsenal. It's awkward now around Christmas. You're trying to fit everything in. I think they decided that they didn't want to talk about Burnley for that long because it was that boring a game. And considering that the Zagreb game was also that boring a game,
yes.
we're expecting something we'll either be very, very angry after Arsenal or have a lot to talk about either way, I suspect.
Well, there you go. So tune into KUMB later in the week and you should be able to grab the latest podcast, which Chris hosts, along with Jack Elderton and Callum Goodall. Excellent stuff. That's it from us this afternoon. West Ham are a little bit closer to knowing who we'll be facing in the next round. Of course, when's the draw for that? Someone remind me. That's after these ties, isn't it?
25th of February, I believe.
February. So we have quite a long wait, but at least we've got some idea of who we'll be coming up against now anyway. That's it from us this afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you all again very soon. Until then, come on, you Irons.